So I want to share with you my thoughts today on why this pandemic is going to actually bring out the best of us. I get it. And let me preface this by saying I work in the healthcare industry as part of the parallel work I do in my life. So I am well aware of the implications of a global pandemic and of a significant health crisis, which is exactly what we're right in the middle of with this coronavirus. But there's so much more to it than what can be seen on the news. So much more to it than people getting sick, than the financial markets crashing, the political leaders not having any answers, and nobody really having any answers for what we need to do next. In fact, personally, I found a really simple beauty and peace in all of this. Because I looked internally myself. The moment that they started to cancel sporting events and cancel large group gatherings of more than 100 people, it became really obvious to me that we are smack in the middle of a worldwide event that is impacting everyone's life. You can't get away from it. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what your life circumstances are. We are all being affected by this right now. So the opportunity for us is to determine how we will respond. None of us can control the outbreak of a virus. None of us can control whether or not we will contract it. Anything short of putting yourself inside of a plastic bubble for the next 3 to 6 months is not going to protect you from getting exposed to this thing. So what are we actually in control of? How can I actually direct my energy towards something uplifting and powerful? There's a few things that I see. Number one, it's apparent that this virus is affecting our elderly and our sickly folks more than anyone else. In fact, reports that I've heard are saying that most children aren't even being affected or becoming symptomatic by this virus. So the opportunity I see there is for us to double down on taking care of our elderly folks, being mindful of our elderly folks. And certainly we're going to be losing and seeing a lot of our elderly folks pass on in these next several months. So how can we show up for them in a way that is supportive, that is loving, that is compassionate, that allows them to go through this process with dignity and respect that they deserve? Because for far too long, we've been ignoring and neglecting our elders, in my opinion. We put our grandmas and grandpas in nursing homes and forget about them. We don't give them any call. We don't give them a call. We don't stop by on holidays. We barely connect with those who gave us life, who passed on that sacred ancestral lineage to us. This is backwards. This is not a village-oriented mindset. This is a self-centric oriented mindset. This is connected directly to capitalism at its finest. The biggest dog wins. And in this case, when all of us are being impacted by something in the exact same way, and we can't buy ourselves out of our circumstances. We can't cheat, lie, rise above other people by manipulation. Nobody can manipulate their way out of being exposed to this virus. Then we have to rely on each other. We get to connect, we get to support, we get to be encouraging during this time where so much fear is being disseminated through the media, through our own anxieties and fears of the unknown. So for those of us who are conscious and willing and ready to ground and be a force of certainty, of encouragement, of reflection, of understanding, of listening, then we can help to ease and calm some of the fears that are being passed around right now. Another thing is that so many of us take our comforts for granted. I'm seeing toilet paper fly off of the shelves in the grocery stores like it's going out of style. The things that we have learned that we can't live without, the conveniences of life. And people are complaining about not having enough food to stockpile in their homes. And this is a luxury. We forget how blessed we really are to be able to just go to the store and grab what we need when we need it. And so I think that this outbreak, this event right now is also reminding us of how much there is for us to gain by not trying to hoard and consume and and attract and keep and stash more for ourselves? What about the days when we used to go and borrow some flour from our neighbor when we ran out instead of going to the store? Nowadays, most of us don't even know the names of our next door neighbors or the people 2 doors down. All these reflections, all these mirrors brought about by this quote unquote tragedy that's reminding us just how human we are and how out of control we are on this planet, on this place we call home. We're not in command of our destiny. We can't dictate whether or not we will be exposed to a virus or something that's going to affect our health and our well-being or the health and well-being of our loved ones. The only thing that we can control is our responsiveness, how we respond to adversity. And so if we zoom all the way out, this is a perfect reflection and mirror of exactly what we talk about here on The Rising Man all the time, is how does a man respond instead of react to the circumstances of his life? And embracing whatever comes, learning to hit the curveball, knowing that none of us were prepared, or maybe very few of us, but most of us were not prepared for a global pandemic to happen right now. There's never a good time for this to happen. So of course this would happen. Of course this would arise and force us to lock down and shut down. But it's not all bad. It doesn't have to be, at least. We can choose to look at it the way we want to. They're reporting blue skies for the first time in China and Italy, these industrial nations where production and transportation and commuterism has been shut down entirely on quarantine levels. And simply by doing that, they're seeing blue skies for the first time in years. Call it what you want, interpret that however you will, but there is something bigger at play here. And for each of us to take our responsibility to play our role, to be a contributor to this change, to this shift in this time, I'm calling all of us into it. I'm saying right now, let's be people who step into the world and bring peacefulness and connection and unity and encouragement instead of fear, devastation, anxiety, tragedy. Yes, there will be moments of sadness where we lose people to this disease. There will be moments where financial hard times come over us and we won't know what to do with ourselves. We won't know how we're going to take care of our families. But if we can remember that myself and my family were not the only ones, that I know you and your family is going through the same exact thing. I know you're wondering how you're going to pay your bills if all of a sudden everything comes to a screeching halt for a couple of months. That you're wondering too if you'll have enough food in your cabinets to last as long as you'll need to. If we remember that and we empathize with each other and we connect and talk about these things, then we won't have to do it alone. And maybe for once, for the first time ever perhaps, we can actually come together as a global community, come to some resolution, empathize, really understand each other and where we're coming from, and come to a global solution instead of always looking for individual routes of getting what we need. So don't get me wrong. I wish that this didn't have to happen this way. I wish that we didn't have to have a financial crisis. I wish that we didn't have to have a health crisis, any of these crises to get us to pause and really pay attention. But sometimes that's what it takes. And since it's here and it's not going anywhere, I encourage you and myself and all the rest of us to make the most of it. Let this be an opportunity to reflect and connect and get back to what makes us great as human beings, social animals, loving and supporting one another and finding ways to make the most out of what we're given. So in these uncertain times, I pray and I wish the best for you and your families. Stay vigilant, stay aware, stay connected to people during this time where they're asking us to socially distance ourselves. Stay connected with each other and keep these conversations moving forward, because at some point, all the dust is going to settle and then we'll have a choice to either return to the lives as we lived them before, grateful that we have all of our comforts and our typical way of living again, or we can use this as a wake-up call. And we as a people can collectively decide to do it differently. What will you choose? How will you respond to this event that's happening right now? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. I want to know what you are committed to doing, how you're committed to being amidst this whole process. And if you like what you guys are hearing here on the Rising Man YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button right now. Just like that, just poke it, and go follow us and everything else we're doing over at risingman.org. Peace out, y'all.
Subscribe.